Pete'sTools.com.
G'day guys, Pete's Tools, how are we all going today? Got my latest new plasma cutter here, I can't wait to assemble it. So this is what we're going to do today guys, we're going to assemble the old Warfox plasma cutter. That's a pretty cool name, isn't it? Warfox, I love it already. And it's a DP50 unit, which means it gives us 50 amps at 220, 240 volts. Let's get into it. Same as usual guys, if you like my videos, subscribe, drop me a like, drop me a comment, come say good day in the comments below. Remember to come check me out at Pete'sTools.com and let's get into it. So guys, with the new Cut 50 DP machine, we've got the air gauge in the front. You remember some of my other videos, we have the air gauge on the back. I think it's a lot easier to set your air pressure if you can actually see what it's doing in the front, so that's got to be a bonus for a start. We've got the voltage here, 120 volt or 240 volt, and what I like about this machine guys is this. This machine actually tells you that if you're using 240 volts, you're going to get 50 amps, see that there? But if you're only using 120 volts, the maximum you're going to get is 30 amps. Now that's a trick for young players guys, because a lot of people think if I run it on 120 I'm going to get the full 50 amps. Well, you're not. But on this machine, they tell you exactly what's going to happen, which I think is awesome, eh? So we also have the amp knob here, which you can adjust from 0 right up to 50 if you're running it on 240 volt, or if you're running it on 110 like I told you before, you can run it right up to 35 amp. We have the post time knob here guys, and post time is just the amount of air that comes out of your torch. Once you let go of the trigger, it just cools down the consumables and doesn't burn them out so quick. So my advice to you guys would be, if you're running on a small compressor, turn the post time right down so you don't use excess air when you're cutting. Because every time you stop, you can run this right up to 15 seconds, that it'll still continue to pump air through your torch 15 seconds after you stop, and that can take a lot of air out of your compressor. Like I said, especially if you're using a small compressor guys. So guys, I've already done an unboxing video on this machine. If you'd like to see it, I'll put a link in the description below. You can check that out, see what you get in the box. But it comes with everything that you need to be able to cut for the first time. So what we'll do guys, is we'll just start to assemble it, eh? And I'll show you how easy it is. So if we turn this one around guys, and I'll actually show you what we're looking at, we're going to have to assemble the water separator, the water trap on the back here. We're just going to have to plumb it into the gauge up the front, but I mean it's no big deal. I'll show you one that doesn't need that doing, which is this one here. If you have a look at this here guys, this is the Best BTC 500 DP. That's a mouthful in itself. Really good machine this one. I was very impressed when I reviewed this, and I've been using it all the time to tell you the truth. Once again, this machine just has the amperage knob here and the post time here. Same as this one here. Looks much the same. We've got an LED screen here for the post time, but we haven't got an LED screen on this one for the post time, just the amps. But I mean, that's no big deal. But what I want to show you is this. The Best machine here has the adjuster for how much air that you see on your gauge here, how much air you're cutting with on the front, whereas this one is going to have the adjuster on the back and we have to assemble it, whereas the Best machine already comes pre-assembled and you don't have to assemble it. So that's the difference between these two machines so far guys. If you don't like assembling the machines yourself, I would suggest you buy the Best. If you don't mind assembling the machine yourself, have a go at this one. First thing to do guys, what I would do is grab the water trap thing here. Really easy peasy, lemon squeezy. These are all pretty much a standard thing as well. They've got bungs in there to keep the dirt and that from getting into the fittings, which is a good idea. Just take them out like so. And what I also suggest, there should be a fitting in here to connect it to the machine. And get it out. There's something in there guys, but you think I can get it out? Let's have a look. Oh, it's come through the packaging here guys. Take it out the other end I think guys. Here we go, there's the fitting. I knew there was one in there to attach it to the machine. Really easy to do guys. So what we have is just the two connectors here with two lock nuts and a couple of little washers on it. So what I normally do is just take one of the nuts off, put the holder on, make sure it goes that way up. So we've got, you can see here, there's a bit of a lip on it here, goes down. Put the washers back on guys. And then I drop that one, what do I do with it? Put this one on, just put your nuts back on. Once you get them just finger tight guys, just give them a little tweak, just to make sure it's not loose. Like so. Beautiful. When we put the water trap in here, guys, you can loosen them off a little bit and go one side or another if you want. It just depends how much room you've got on your shelf where you're storing your machine. What we want to do now, guys, is to open the bag a little bits and pieces and tip it out. Make sure we've got everything. We've got a clip-on hose fitting here. We've got 3 or 4 hose clips. We've got a new set of consumables for the torch. Actually, we've got 2 new sets of them. And we've got an air fitting, and of course we've got some thread seal tape. What I noticed with the little bit better quality machines, guys, is they actually give you a thread seal tape and all sorts of stuff, which I think is good, because last thing you want to do is be looking in your workshop for some thread seal tape that you drop behind a cabinet or something and you can't find. So I reckon that's quite cool. So if we put the fittings on the water trap first, before we attach it to the machine, otherwise you might knock them off. First thing I do, guys, is take the plastic nut off the top of it, like so. Make sure you don't lose it, guys. And then what we want to do is check which way the air is coming. So if we look here at this bung here, it says out. If we look at this bung here, it says in. And this bung here is for the gauge on the front of the machine. It actually says it on there, which is pretty cool. Even I couldn't get confused with that. So we'll go the in air line first. So we just take that bung out like so. And what, I don't know whether you have a snap-on fitting for your in air line, or you have a permanent fixture fitting for your in air line. But take whatever one you use, which I have a snap-on fitting, but we can't use this because this is the American version of it. I have a New Zealand version of it here. It looks almost identical, but it's just a little bit different how deep this is. So what I'll do, guys, is just screw my version of it in so I can plug my air connectors into it. Just like so. You guys use the one that comes with it or whatever suits your workshop. So we've got the air coming in here, guys, and what we need here is the air coming out. So because we're going to join the air coming out into the air line down here, we just need a normal fitting like that a hose clip goes on, because we don't unplug that side all the time. So we'll just take the bung out and then we'll put the normal air fitting in like so. But I'll put a little bit of thread seal tape on it first, guys, to stop it from leaking. And like I say, guys, I think it's just great that they give you thread seal tape and everything, because there's nothing worse than trying to find thread seal tape that you haven't got, or having to go down to the plumber's hardware shop and buy that. So, you know, but thread seal tape doesn't cost that much, but it's just the inconvenience of having to go and get it. So we've got thread seal tape on it, so we'll just put it in to the outside. And we'll just tweak them up a little bit with the open-ended wrench, like so. That should stop any leaks that come out of there. And then we have this one here, guys. Just remember I said is for this hose here, because that tells us what air pressure is in the water separator, and it tells us on the front gauge how much air pressure we've got to cut with. So once again, guys, this is really simple as well. Just take the bung out of it like so. Now you can't get confused with the front and back of these things, because if you look on the back of it, it's got like a hex key in there, which is not designed to be taken out. So you're looking for everything with the plastic bungs. So we have a look at the adapter that we get for this one, guys. This has already got thread seal tape on it, so that's even better. So we'll just screw them in like so. Now if you screw it into it tight, and then you'll feel that the actual fitting moves but the nut doesn't, that's because we can alter the angle of this, which is really good, because this is quite a stiff pipe, and if we couldn't alter the angle, we might end up with a big kink in it, so we don't want that. So just make sure that we have finger tight with this one, and then once again just tweak it up a little bit, guys. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right, now to drain the water out, you just pull the bottom of the separator like so, and as you can see there, guys, it's got a filter in there, so that kicks all the muck and that out of it as well. Quite cool, I reckon. Anyway, so what I suggest we do now, guys, is that we just assemble it. Now remember, I told you to take the plastic bung off. Just stick it in there like so. Put your plastic bung on. Tighten it up, guys. Don't go heck of a tight with it. Just enough that it holds it. Just like that, guys. Because once we get the air lines hooked up, we're not going to have to basically touch that again, apart from altering this up or down, which will alter the pressure on the front gauge, which will give us more or less pressure when we use the cutting torch. So if we grab our hose like that, guys, this is the clear hose that they've given you. It's quite flexible, so what we need to do is take a bit of that out. They always give you heaps and heaps of it. I don't know why they give you so much, but anyway. So we just take a bit of that out of there, guys. We've got to go from the outside of the ear to the ear down here. So what this is doing is feeding air to our plasma torch. Now remember, this one here is only feeding air to the pressure gauge. So that's why that one is in the middle here and this is going straight through. So if you measure roughly how much you need and then just whack it off. Now a sharp knife would be preferable, but this has been lying around the workshop for ages, so we'll just make do with what we've got. Beautiful. Now, as you may notice guys, this has got a sort of a braiding in it as well to give it a bit more strength. So we'll just double check, make sure that's going to fit on there right. Make sure we haven't got too much ear hose. In fact, I might actually cut it off a little bit shorter guys, just so we don't have so much sticking out of the back of it. There we go. So that's a bit shorter there, see that? So it hasn't got so much to hook onto something else. So what we need to do now guys is put the hose clips on this, both ends, front and back. Sometimes I find these hose clips are a bit hard to get started, but once you get them going they're alright. Get it just so it's reasonably tight and then just tweak it up a little bit once again with the wrench. Looking good guys, yeehaw! Right, do the same with the top. Like I say guys, sometimes these hose clips are really hard to get started, but once you get it going it's alright. There we go guys, yeehaw! So now we're left with this hose here guys, and this is really hard. And why it's hard is because this fitting here has got like shark's teeth on it, and when you push this hose into it, the teeth grab it and it won't let it go, and it has an O-ring in here to seal it. You've got to hold down this blue thing here like so, and then pull the hose out of it. So what I suggest you do guys, is you measure this twice or 3 times and cut it once, because you don't want to cut it too short. And bear in mind that this thing is on a swivel, so we can go under or over. So I might actually go under guys, to get away from this hose, go under and then come back up, like so. See, if we do it like that without cutting it, it's really too long. So what we need to do is just cut a little piece off it, so it hasn't got so much of a loop there. Anyway, like I say, measure twice, cut once. So I reckon about there will do it guys, so it hasn't got such a big kink in it. So we'll cut it about here. Once again, not an ideal cutting tool to cut this sort of pipe. I'll try with my knife, but it's really blunt. Oh no, here we go. And what the object of the exercise is guys, not to squash this pipe. There we go, relatively square. Like so. Now my theory is we just come down the bottom and push it in, and see if you can hear it click guys. Here we go, ka-dunk, like so. Won't come out now. Now the object of the swivel bit is where we can bend it round to keep it out of the way of everything else. So that there looks good if you ask me. Straighten them up a little bit, just tighten that little nut up again on the top. There we go guys, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Ear in here, this is through my ear connector. I have a connector like this. So you put in whatever air connector you need to hook up to your workshop air supply. So mine goes in like so, like that. Air goes this way, comes down here into the machine, out of my plasma cutting torch on the other end of course. The air pressure in here goes out there, through there, onto the gauge in the front, and then we can see what air pressure we're running. See guys, I'm adjusting the adjuster at the back, which gives us air up the front. See that guys, if I screw the thing up, we're going up. If I screw the thing down, we're going down in pressure. So we must have plumbed it up right. Yeehaw! Now if I turn it on, let's see if it lights up. Woo! We're running on 240 volts, so we get the full 50 amps out of it. Beautiful. Right, now let's see if I change it to 120 volts, see if the amp gauge drops down. So guys, I'll plug 110 volts into it, see what happens. Here we go, see that? 35, automatically changed, really good. Some of the plasma cutters that I've had before, when you change the voltage, the amps doesn't change, it stays at 50. So you think you're cutting at 50 amps and it doesn't. See, this is maximum, I hadn't turned that from 50, so it's the maximum it'll go now, from 10 to 35 amps, which is really good. Just a little extra feature there so you know what voltage you're cutting on. So guys, that was easy enough, eh? How to assemble the old Warfox plasma cutter. So far so good, looks good. Everything seems to be working. Check out my next video over the next couple of days and we'll do a proper review on this machine. We'll get it cutting for the first time and see what the baby actually does. Anyway guys, same as usual, like the video, subscribe, drop me a like, drop me a comment, come say good day in the comments below, and we'll see you next time, mate. Pete's Tool.